Hey guys, welcome to another episode of LFA Shop Shop. This week we're going to get reacquainted with the Toyoace and see what I've got left to do. Alright, so I've continued the cleanup. The Toyoace is in here. So the Leyland cab was here last time you saw. This stuff still needs to get sorted out, which is pretty easy and just needs to get sold. This bay I'm going to try and leave it empty, and this bay I'm going to put the Toyoace in. So I just got the Toyoace battery charged and it's just running for a bit. So I'll let that go for a little while. I still need to cut that guy out, which I'm going to try and do maybe today. And then the Leyland cab is in here. I've got a bit of a steel rack coming along, and then we've got the K25 and then aluminium and wood up the back there. So hopefully it stays pretty tidy. Alright, so it's been about a week of cleaning and organising. There's a bit of VL stuff on the ground that is going to go to a mate of mine. It's from Dale for a mate. Toyoace is in here still, got a little bit of stuff to throw out, which is fine. Some stuff needs to go upstairs, some stuff needs to get sold. Got the Toyoace in here, which is quite big, but it is in the corner, I guess. All that stuff in the corner is all Corolla stuff, and then that motor of a friend of mine. And out the back is pretty clean. So I need to do the lawns. Don't yell at me. My dad already did. So this is all going to be gravel very shortly. I just need to actually get around to doing it. I've got some steel over there for the new door that I want to put in here. So it'll be like a swingy door to get the crown in and out of that shed. We got this bay finally sorted out. So we got a bunch of steel racks and bits and pieces, just little bits of tube and stuff. And then the longer stuff is down the back there, and the building, like construction-y shed stuff is there. So that's a good start. Then we got the truck with some crap on the back of it that I don't want, but can't get rid of at the moment, just like pallets and old wheels and tires and stuff. Trailer with a broken tail light and no rego. I need to attack this jungle down here, and then the Echo is going very shortly. Lady paid a deposit on that and she's coming back in like an hour or two. And then the Falcon needs to go out the front. I was just filling it up with parts. That table needs to move, and I'm going to get it painted again, or possibly send it off for powder coating and then try and sell that. And then we've got a bit of steel plate around here that needs to go. Again, all this needs to get ripped out, and I'm probably going to gravel and compact all of this so it doesn't grow. But overall, it's very weird to see no cars out here, because the two that are behind me, they are going out the front and getting sold, and then the rest of the stuff is actually behind the shed or in the shed, and then same there, that's all closed up. So that's most of the sorting done. That's most of the big stuff that you would actually, I guess, know what was going on. The rest of it is up there, which I don't really show up there because it's just full of crap, and then there's a shed behind here that is also full of crap, so they need to get sorted out, and that's about where I'm at. So I'm hoping this episode will either be about that door going in or an exhaust on this thing. And then the other of those two videos will be next week. Let's get into it. So this is my 1960 something Toyota Toyoace. So it's a Toyota 25. So I put a 6-litre LS in this at some point, a couple of years ago probably. And now I've swapped it to a 5.7, and I'm still trying to get it all buttoned up and ready to drive. Made a tray, we've done engine mounts, we've done a trans mount, we've got a tail shaft which needs a bit of looking into. Done 2 or 3 revisions on the front brakes. We've got steering happening, it's all kind of half done, and a fuel system that's kind of half done. So it's all underway, but none of it's actually finished. So what I'm going to do today is get myself refamiliarized and you guys refamiliarized with this thing and where I'm up to. Alright, so one of the first things we did on this Toyoace was the 32-inch wheels. So the wheels required a 2-inch suspension lift and a 3-inch cab lift, which got this thing 5 inches taller. Then we put 4-inch taller tyres and ended up pretty tall. So then once that was all the clearance we needed, we slapped an LS in here and got an intake sort of plumbed up. Got a battery box happening, the wiring's all sort of happening, it's all wired and worked out. The shifter is now in place, so I need a cable for that, which I've finally got. Steering was all custom stuff that has happened over the past couple of years. And then the fuel system is just starting here. So this blue one goes into the bottom of the tanks, comes through the pump, through the filter, through the regulator, up to the rail, and then the rest returns to the tank. So speaking of, the tanks are over there, the two kegs. So they are joined together and welded up. So we're going to have probably 100 litre capacity and should be pretty good. So then the Turbo 400, which is in the back, and the Mega Puny super angled tail shaft is back here as well. So I need to get a radiator in here somewhere, and then the fuel tank's in. And then I also need to pay some attention to the back brakes and make sure the front ones are working, finish off the wiring, and then pretty much just get the rest dialed in. So from day one, the hopes and dreams with this thing was to do wheelies. I just want to get the front wheels off the ground like a Coke can and just do a wheelie. So I'm going to end up with big old slicks on the back and maybe some lightweight tyres on the front. And then maybe, if we need to, add some turbos later. But I'm kind of hoping we can just kind of get away with the 5.7. So we'll see how we go. I reinforced the engine cover, I guess. So I made a box frame for that, welded in some sides, made it a lot stronger than it was. Someone had previously cut this up, so it wasn't very good anyway. I need to make a cover for there. The seat bolts on top, which is a Hilux seat. Mounts are super sturdy and welded into the cab. So that's all ready to go. Then the accelerator, I got halfway through. So that's a pedal, and then this rod here is supposed to go down and work on a bit of a cam and make the accelerator cable pull, which I haven't finished off. The steering is mostly done. Just need some more support bearings in there. So it is all getting there. I just need to actually finish it and get back into it, really. I had to stop working on this thing when the Corolla came around and had to get it done for a wedding, so I had to stop working on this, but now it's time to get back into it. So some of the bigger jobs that I still need to do are the exhaust, which should be pretty simple. I've got these two here from a C30 that I had at some point. This needs to get cut up and put the mufflers together and try and get something onto here. The length of the mufflers is almost the length I have available, so that'll be interesting. And the exhaust off the manifolds that I made, custom manifolds, dumps just here, just above that engine plate there. And then they're going to come along the outside of the chassis rail and just dump before the tyre. So that should be relatively easy. I just don't have all the parts today, but I'll get a bit of a start on it. And then the other thing is to make a radiator fit. So that will be going in there with some fans and some long rad hoses. And then I also got a small radiator from Dale, which he used to use as a water intercooler. So that's going to actually hopefully fit up the front here, get some fans on that guy and make the whole thing run nice and cool. So we'll see how we go with all of that. But for now, let's get into the exhaust, get these bits cut up, see how much length we've got. Maybe mount them in place. I don't have all the pieces, but I'll get a good start on it and then we'll keep looking into this thing a bit further. All right, so pretty much all I want from this is the muffler and the resonator. So I'm going to cut whatever pipe is in between and just get those two bits pulled out. And then the rest of it I'll keep aside for scrap. And it's also the right size diameter for the mufflers, obviously. So we might be able to use some of it. So let's get the angle grinder out and cut these things up. All right, so I've cut those exhausts up for the parts that I need. So it's mainly just this big muffler and this little glass pack. That's probably a pretty big glass pack actually. So I'm going to weld those pretty much straight to each other. And then I'm going to use this little dog leggy piece and try and make two turn downs for the very end. So the big muffler will go here, the glass pack will go here, and then I'm going to use what I can out of these two straight pieces with the flange on the end to go this way, and then we'll do a 90 into the exhaust manifolds. Then, like I said, if I need to do turbos to do wheelies, I can take that 90 out and chuck a turbo in there, and then we should have a pretty much universal exhaust that we can just leave there. So I'm hoping to like solid fix this and this to the body and to each other, and then probably put a flexi here so this whole pipe can actually flex a fair bit, just in case when I get to later additions, if I need to, I have an exhaust to work. So in saying all of that, I need to fix my bandsaw. I burnt the blade out on this thing, so I need to go get another one. So we'll fix that and then come back, cut these guys and weld them together. Try and mount the mufflers on the back end of this chassis. Then for the front, I need more bits, which I'm going to have to wait on later in the week. So I'll just get these mufflers mounted up and then we should be good to go. All right, a few cuts later, we've got a bit of a turn down coming on. So that'll go on the end of the muffler here. Not sure if it's going to be at the top or the bottom just yet, but for example. So it's got a bit of a bend in it, and then the tip actually has a bit of an angle in it as well. So that'll look pretty good, I hope. I don't know if it's going to be top or bottom just yet, but we'll work that out. Then moving over here to the middle glass pack or middle muffler. So this guy will go onto the end of this muffler just almost directly. So this one actually will slip over there, and then someone's welded different thing on here, so we'll try and make that work as well. Should be pretty easy, and then that will give us a rough total length from the tyre forwards, and then from there I'll go into these two straight pieces and stop probably like a foot short of the manifold at the front, and then I can get the front bits later and join it up. So what I'm going to do now is just try and get these two joined to each other and then try and mount them on the car. Alright, so I got all this welded up. So I welded the glass pack straight to the muffler and then cut a small piece for the end. That guy's welded in there, same on that one. They're both exactly the same length because that was going to annoy me if they weren't. And then I've got the two tips cleaned up and ready to go on. I don't know which orientation I want to spin them just yet, so I'll wait till this is all mounted. So the next step is to mount them on the car. So this will be the bottom of the car, and then that'll be like where the tray is. So I need to try and hold all this above chassis rail level. I'm going to try and make a bracket and get it all held in place. So I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we'll get there in a minute. All right, it's a new day. I've spent most of the day messing around, trying to get parts and just going to appointments and all that sort of stuff. So yesterday we got the two mufflers welded together. They are mocked up roughly in place with jack stands, which I'll show in a second. And then I also got some more parts, so we should be able to crack on with this and maybe get them on and mounted and fully plumbed up today. All right, so here's where I got to yesterday. We've got the two mufflers joined together and set to the right height. So that's just about the bottom of the chassis. So it's maybe a little bit lower, a little bit higher, but I'm pretty happy with that. So now what we need to do is get a turn down on the back or out or whatever, a 90-degree little bend. I'm not happy with the ones I had, so I went and got some more. And then we need to do a 90 at the front to go from this pipe just here, 90 degrees into this one. There's also another bit of a weird angle up there, so that might be a bit of a problem, but we'll work that out in a minute. And then the back one, I just want a 90, probably out the side, and probably as short as possible so that I can move the muffler back and give myself some more room at the front. So let's get into the back first, move it all back as far as I can, and then we can work out the front. And then once it's all done, I'll jump on the other side and do the other side. All right, so here are the 4 bends I got. It's 2 1/4. I actually realized halfway through yesterday that 2 1/4 is probably too small for the LS. I've got 2 1/4 inch primaries, which is massive, and then the exhaust is probably too small. So we'll see if that's a problem later. If it is, I'll fix it. But for now, we're gonna have a 2 1/4 on either side, so it should be okay, but we'll see how we go. So 4 bends, 2 for the front, 2 for the back, and then a bunch of flanges to join it all together. I'm using the 2-bolt stuff because that's what's already there, and I'm also trying to make this thing look old from the outside. So if I do get questioned, I can kind of say it's an old swap, but I doubt that'll work. So let's try and get this cut and tacked into place and see how much of an exhaust we can end up with. All right, so I started at the back. I cut off as much straight as I could on the top, so it'll be like really short. Then to get clearance for the tire, I had to move this forwards and backwards a whole bunch, and this ended up being quite a big gap. That was originally 25 to 50 mil, depending on which spot I had it in. Then I've just quickly mocked up this front pipe, and as you can see, I've done exactly what everybody that welds doesn't like, which is make the bend in the weld. So it's a bit of an awkward angle. It actually like tilts in towards the cab a fair bit and also kicks over. So I'm gonna fill that with weld and it'll be fine. It's gonna look better than this bloke's welds, so it'll be fine. That's pretty much all I'm worried about. So then I'm going to have to rubber mount this, obviously. I was going to put a flex in, but there's just not much room, so I've abandoned that idea. And we'll rubber mount this. I may have to scallop this guy on the back because it's actually pretty close. I can get my finger in there, but this one is a little bit more, so we may have to scallop those two, see how we go. Depends how I hang it as well. So I'll weld this up, see where it actually sits, and then go from there. But overall, it's pretty decent. Then that is going to be on like a 45 pointing at the ground, and it should be pretty fun. So I'm going to tack this up, and then I'm going to clean everything up, and then put it in again, make sure it all still fits. And then if I'm happy with it, I'll weld it fully, and then that'll be the front done. Then I can just do the back and make the angle right. And then if that's all sweet, I just need to hang this thing. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty close. And I haven't started the other side yet, so I need to copy this to the other side. So I'm trying to remember what measurements I have here and there and everywhere, and hopefully it'll work on the other side. All right, well, this is coming along pretty well. So I've fully welded the bend, I guess, and the 2 flanges. I haven't welded the top at the manifold end. I need to take the manifolds off to do that, but for now, it's got a pretty hefty tack on it, so it'll hold up. So they're fully welded, and the gaskets are in place. I need new bolts because those ones stand out a lot. So then I've got good clearance. Everything's still on the jack stands. That left one is actually doing nothing. The right one's holding everything up. So I need to do the tip and also hangers. So I've left it too late to get hangers today, but I can do the tip. So what I need to do is take this thing off and chuck it on the bench. And then I guess I'll bring it back over once it's all tacked and put it in the car, make sure it looks right. And then take it back off the car, fully weld it, and then bring it back, put it back on again. So if I can get to that stage on both sides, that's a very successful day. So I've only been working in here for about an hour and a half today, so I'm doing reasonably well, I think. I have cut the pipe for the other side, so we should be good to go, and I've cut the tips for the other side as well. So I'll just rip this off, get it all tacked up, and we'll see what it looks like. Well, this came out pretty much as I wanted. So that's all bolted up. Still no hangers, obviously. That 90 degree on the end sticks out on like a 45, and it looks reasonably rowdy. On the camera it's not crazy, but in person it looks pretty good. So I think if I were to perhaps do a burnout, that would help with the smoke. So that'd be pretty good. So now I need to copy this across to the other side, which will be quite interesting. So I'll just start that, I guess. However, I'm not going to make you watch that, so I'll skip forwards to that right now, and then we'll be done. All right, and just like that, same on left as on right. So we have the exhaust all mounted up. So I need to get some more bolts tomorrow, and I need to get some exhaust hangers, but I won't bore you with that stuff. So just imagine this fixed and no jack stands. Cool. So thank you very much for watching this week's episode. I hope you enjoy the Toyoace. I hope you're back up to speed, and I hope you like the new exhaust. This should be running and driving soon. I'm not going to give it a time frame, but very soon. So stay tuned. See you next week.